meeting of the Huntsville City Council is called to order. Councilman Russell is absent, but a quorum is present. Please rise if you desire to do so for the invocation led by Reverend Frank Woods, the chaplain at Crestwood Medical Center, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Will Culver.
Will you bow your heads with me as I pray? Dear, wise, and loving Father, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who have gathered here on today. Thank you for your many abundant blessings, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our calling. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work. In your scriptures, you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities. Since you have established these authorities to promote peace, order, justice, therefore, I pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, for particularly the city council. Grant them the wisdom to govern the issues of our time, a sense of welfare needs for the people, and a thirst for justice, confidence in what is good, ability to work together in harmony, even in honest disagreements, personal peace in their lives, joy in their tasks. I pray for the agenda before them this evening. Give assurance of what would be pleasing and benefit to those who live and work in our beloved city of Huntsville. It is in our most blessed name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Reverend Woods. Thank you, Councilman Culver. You have before you the minutes of the meeting held November 17th. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes stand approved as presented. Item number 4 is resolutions and special recognitions. We have none from the mayor, none from council. We do have one announcement. Item number 8A. Huntsville Utilities request consideration of the item this evening, and that will require unanimous consent of the council when we get to that agenda item. We have no business with outside legal representation. We have no public hearings to be held. We do, however, have public hearings to be set. Item number 6A1, item number 6B1 is a resolution to set a public hearing on an ordinance zoning 1.16 acres of newly annexed property lying on the south side of Little Cove Road and west of Old Gate Lane to Residence 1A District to be set for the for hearing January 26, 2017 at a regular council meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Mr. Culver. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion, any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 6B2 is a resolution to set a public hearing on an ordinance rezoning 2.38 acres of property on the west side of Jordan Lane and on the south side of Dyshall Drive from Residence 2A to Neighborhood Business C1 set for January 26, 2017 at a regular council meeting. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kling. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 6B3, a resolution to set a public hearing on an ordinance lifting the conditions and restrictions contained in the Urban Renewal Plan, Big Spring Area, project number Alabama R32, to be set for the December 15th, 2016 regular council meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a motion? From Mr. Kling, second from Mr. Culver. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 6B4, a resolution to set a public hearing for Alonzo L. Napier, doing business as Napes Limousine, set for December 15th, 2016, regular council meeting. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Culver. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 6B5 is a request to set a public hearing to hear the appeal of Sutton Place Condominiums, appealing the decision of the Liquor License Review Committee approving a retail liquor lounge license with entertainment to Brazelton Properties, Inc., doing business as Plush Horse at 2021 Golf Golf Road, Huntsville, Alabama 35802, at the November 3rd, 2016 Liquor License Review Committee meeting to be set for the January 12, 2017 regular council meeting. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Culver. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This brings us to item number 7, communications and reports, communications from the public. This is an opportunity for the council to hear concerns expressed by the public. When your name is called, please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak, and the city clerk treasurer will be the timekeeper. The first person on the list is Mr. Adam Smith. Mr. Smith, welcome.
Thank you. Adam Smith, address is 512 Chateau Drive, Huntsville, Alabama 35801. I'm just here on behalf of the golf course. I have a last meeting I submitted a petition to keep the golf course open. I just have more signatures here. Obviously, people want to keep the golf course open after December 31st. I just had a couple of questions. Is there any kind of update? Do we have a timeline of when the golf course is possibly going to reopen? Also, my other question is at the last city council meeting, the land development the company out of Nashville, they did not have to go through a bid process for you to sell the land to them. I'm just wondering if that's an option for the golf course. If it's not, you know, what can be done and why can you do it for one but not for the other? So, thank you.
Do you have those petitions with you? Would you like to bring them up here? Thank you, Councilman Key. Mr. Hamilton, we have questions regarding the timeline and update on where we are and the bid process and how that will be handled.
So first, in terms of where we are with timeline right now, as we stated last time, there's really 2 actions that we're working simultaneously, both that would require council action as we get to the appropriate points. The first is short-term maintenance of the golf course to preserve the greens and other pieces of the golf course itself, the infrastructure. We are hopeful that we can bring some options, solutions at the next council meeting that would deal with that short-term maintenance during the months primarily of January, February. We are also in the process of developing the RFP and working to get that released here during the month of December. I think realistically, the council action to select a winning bidder from that would be either late February or early March is what's probably realistic. We would obviously go faster if we're able to, but trying to be realistic and transparent as we can, I think it would probably take at least until sometime in February to do that, and that's for the operations of the course. In terms of how that contract works, that is really a franchise agreement, a contract for operations of the course, and that is different than the sale of land. And so in terms of the answer to the gentleman's question, in terms of how that's structured under state law and what the authorities are and how council would take actions, those are 2 completely different things. And so in order for you to grant a franchise agreement to operate the course, it must be done through a competitive process. We can't do that as a sole source. And I've met multiple times with teams of lawyers to go through every possible way around that, and that is an absolute thing. We would not bring something to council that would not be legal for you to do under state law. So we will have to work that agreement through a competitive process. And quite frankly, given the complexity of that operation, given the financial risk assumed by a company in that particular operation, it wouldn't be advisable to do it any other way, even if you could legally. But the reality is you can't legally, and so we'll go through that process and make sure we bring you a well-vetted operator. Should someone who's capable be able to win that bid.
Very good. Thank you. The next person signed up is Rosa Snyder. Subject is code enforcement. Ms. Snyder.
Hi. I'm going to read a letter that I wrote and left with Mr. Battle.
Oh, Ms. Snyder, could you please give your address?
Oh, sorry.
Name and address.
I own property at 3410 8th Avenue. I'm going to paraphrase this because the 3-minute thing. But basically, since about June 2015, I've been in convoluted mess with the neighbor that tried to illegally convert residential property to industrial. And since June 2015, I complained about a 7-foot chain link barbed wire fence that these people put around the residential properties and a commercial property, combined them all, plus a public right-of-way that they didn't vacate, the city didn't vacate. But anyway, I've complained to Michelle Jordan, Travis Cummings, Wayne Lamont, Deborah Heineman, Jim McGuffey, Trey Riley, the entire zoning board, and the entire city council, as well as the mayor. But nothing happened. I sent emails. I've got several dates a year ago, June 11th, July 21st, 22nd, August 10th, 11th, 14th. 2016, I sent emails about the fence June 27th, July 11th, and August 2nd. Coincidentally, or not, in September 2015, I received 9 citations from community development for the property I own next door. And I've listed them. I mean, it's for stuff like, you know, peeling paint. And anyway, Officer Webster displays detailed knowledge of the code when writing the 9 criminal citations against me. I was ill for several years, and the property, you know, did need attention. What happened is, after my tenant moved out in November of 2015, I found out that the windows were leaking, even though I got all the windows replaced about 5 years earlier. So I had to do battle with the window company who claimed it was a roof. I replaced the roof, and they still leak, so they finally replaced every window again in May of this year. Because with the roof leaking, I couldn't fix anything because I had to fix whatever was leaking first. Anyway, to my knowledge, Jesse Stutz and CU Properties, the people that put up the fence and tried to convert the properties, they never were cited for anything, for the barbed wire fence, the illegal conversion, or parking of industrial vehicles on the residential properties. The city actually rewarded them with free public right-of-way property, which the city claims is too difficult to vacate amid my protest. In 2016, after being threatened with an arrest warrant because I was tardy for my 4th court appearance for the citations, I decided to read the Huntsville Code very carefully. I found out that because what happened, this community development told me they were deferring to zoning about the barbed wire fence. But when I read the code after being threatened with my freedom, I found out that it's community development that has the jurisdiction, not zoning, over fencing in
Ms.
Huntsville.
Snyder, your time is up.
I'm not done.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask you to be given an extra minute, please.
Would you like an extra minute?
Yeah.
Council members?
Anyway, so I've cited where in the code it says that it's community development that's in charge, and then I got these emails from those guys saying, McGuffey says that, you know, it's okay, the fence is okay, and I'm like, zoning has no jurisdiction. Anyway, so what I think is that Huntsville is doing selective enforcement of the code. Just like, you know, McGuffey approving a fence he has no authority to, and then, you know, how the legal vacation of the property that was taken could not be done or won't be done. How I'm issued 9 citations for peeling paint, but a barbed wire fence, a 7-foot tall barbed wire chain link fence around residential property is clearly against the code. No citations, no nothing. Anyway, it turned around. I took this to the mayor, and I guess his secretary, Carol, actually signed, because all I wanted is just, you don't have to agree, just sign, you got the paper.
Ms. Snyder, your time is up.
Well,
Thank you
I want to say
for
one more
your
thing.
comments tonight. Could we have you meet with
He
someone from
actually
community?
threw this paper at me when I took it to the housing
Snyder,
authority
your
and said
time
he
is
wasn't
up.
going to sign it, and he was tired of my complaints.
Ms.
and
Snyder, we would be happy to have someone from community development meet with
Madam
you.
President?
No,
Yes,
look,
sir.
Okay.
they won't let me appeal it. The housing board, who it says the board is supposed to hear
Ms. Snyder, you're
appeals,
out of order.
won't let me appeal
Mr.
it.
Kling has the floor.
Okay. Ms. Snyder, if I can make a suggestion, 2 things. I think we've got some staff here who could meet with you. And then also, could we allow her to be allowed to speak at the end of the meeting when we have additional public comment? Would that be allowed?
That would be acceptable. In the meantime, would you like to step out in the hall and meet with someone?
Miss Jordan here?
Yeah,
or-
Ms. Jordan?
Okay.
Ms. Jordan? Then we will
Okay.
look forward to hearing from you at the end of the meeting.
Okay. That would be item 17, excuse me.
Thank you. The next person on the roster is Richard Molaire. Mr. Molaire?
Thank you. I am Richard Molaire. I live at 8810 Willow Hills Drive, Huntsville, Alabama, 35802. Thank you for this opportunity to address the council. The subject is just one more blow in this kind of sad ongoing saga of closing the golf course when it should not be closed. We've already discussed that at the last city council meeting, and the feelings of many of the citizens with regard to the closing of the golf course, even for a short period of time, have been conveyed to the members of the council. Nobody wants the course closed for any period of time, except possibly somebody who wants to get in on the maintenance of the course. I realize the city needs time to do things, assess the work that needs to be done, list the requirements in an RFP, issue the RFP for public consideration, allow prospective bidders time to prepare and submit proposals to the city, determine a winner, and allow the winner to begin the work at the course. These are all lengthy and time-consuming, redundant operations. If the course were closed during this time, the city and the citizens of Huntsville would be deprived of a lovely and entertaining recreational facility. They don't all have memberships up at the Ledges or at the other exclusive golf courses around here. The hardworking and dedicated staff at the course would be jobless, would take their expertise and knowledge elsewhere. The course would deteriorate, whether or not nothing good would come from this course of action. At the last city council meeting, as the gentleman up there said, I noted that the city had received an unsolicited proposal from some real estate developers to purchase some low mill property from the city and proceed with developing it. The city accepted this unsolicited proposal, and things are going along, I assume, 60 miles an hour. Why can the city not accept an unsolicited proposal from the present golf course staff, which would allow the present staff to operate the course until such time as the city's lengthy and thorough RFP process is complete? This would allow the city time to go through the many steps required to get a new and more permanent contract in place. Everybody would win on this. The course would remain open, would continue to be maintained by the efficient and good staff they have right now. Huntsville citizens would have access to a golf facility. It doesn't cost $10,000. The present staff would retain their employment. The city would have as much time as needed to issue a new contract. I just think that there are ways that the course could remain open with the present staff submitting an unsolicited proposal, much like the unsolicited proposals that have been already submitted and are in effect. I know that they're not apples and apples, but they're not. It's not a completely different situation. I think if the desire of the council were to do this, it could get done. We have a good facility here. Let's do what we can do to keep it going.
Thank you, Mr. Molaire.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Mr. Hamilton, would you like to comment regarding trying to keep the course open until the RFP process is complete?
It's the same answer I gave a few minutes ago, ma'am. The operations of the course requires a contract that by state law must be competitively bid. That's different than maintenance of the course. And we're working through options to maintain the course so that the physical value is not lost, so that when we find a new operator, we can pursue that.
Thank you. So we have legal requirements from the state that have to be followed, and they don't provide. I think the question has come up with regard to doing some kind of an emergency contract or something in between, and the state simply does not provide for that. Is that correct?
That is correct, and but again, that is as you look at what you can potentially declare emergency, it's related to the physical value of the infrastructure, not the operation and the franchising and the revenue streams associated with operating that business. Those are two different things.
Thank you.
We're not talking about a permanent contract here. We're talking
Mr.
about a
Molaire,
temporary.
I'm sorry, your time is up. The next person on the agenda, on the roster is Jackie Reed. Ms. Reed?
Good evening. Did you call me up here?
I did.
All right. I appreciate if you'd listen to these golf people and try to work with them. You buy everything in town. You do everything for everybody else. And I'm hoping and praying and expecting you to take care of these people because we need a golf course. So don't looking at trying to sell it or give it away or doing anything else. Anyway, you don't need too long to do this, because if you take too long, I know what's going to happen. Anyway, let's get back. Thank you for allowing public input. I was called today and questioned, why would a Christmas parade be on the same night as a city council meeting? After reading the agenda, I was called about it, and they said, you better check out City Center. That's exactly why the Christmas party's going on down there tonight, the Christmas parade. City Center's on there with 8 big agenda items, and I said, they're going to pull the wool over the public with something. So I guess that's it. So when you get to 15K, hold OPQ through 15W. That's very important, very, very important. And I'll be talking at the end of the meeting over it, I guess. But anyway, there's 3 things a customer wants to know. How is the sewer charges so high on their utility bill? And the water is related to the same thing. They call the utility, and the utilities say, call the city of Huntsville. So some of you that upped the rates on the sewer, and some of you did, please tell the public somehow, some way, why the sewer rates are so high. I've also had a call about the longevity pay for the employees. Why was the taxes taken out of their checks and retirement taken out of their paychecks for longevity pay? People call me and they can't talk. The city employees has no voice. I'm their voice. They don't have a choice. That's sad that you all don't let the public get involved. How do you know something's wrong if they can't speak in this city? I don't get it. But anyway, I'm asking you, maybe you can answer some of that. My main subject tonight is Madison Square Mall. I've been told you all have evicted those people out of the mall. And don't sit up there and tell me that you have not. I've been going to that mall for 6 months. And names are called. Who tell them to move? They're not to renew a lease. Sears and Penny's, I've talked to Penny's lawyers several times. And Sears, they've all been given notices to get the heck out of there. And they have blocked it off now. At the end of Sears, you can't even walk the mall. The city of Huntsville evicted them. That is very, very sad that you all think so much of Mid-City, which was located on Memorial Drive until they relocated. Last week, they bought Whole Food and moved from Memorial Drive over to Whole Food. Maybe y'all don't know what's going on in the city.
Ms. Reed, your time is up. Would you like another minute?
I'll try to be nicer.
Council
It's hard for
members?
me to be nicer.
You okay?
Yes.
Anyway, I don't understand why you tear a mall down. All of you have agreed to tear this mall down for the big money developers and the good old boy system in this city. People say on my telephone, it's dead. Well, you know who killed it? The city of Huntsville. With all of your development, I'm asking you, please, bring the lady in from Cummings Research Park and give a presentation of what all you're going to do out there when you tear that mall down. I think the public deserves a right to know who you're doing it for, why you're doing it, and let the public see what you all are doing in this city. I'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Culver?
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you for your comments, Ms. Reed. I would be remiss if I didn't at least attempt to enlighten the general public as it relates to what's happening at Mid-City, since this is a project that I have been spearheading with the mayor and his administration. As you may remember, we did a sneak peek review back in the early part of August. A lot has happened since then, but I want to assure you, Ms. Reed, and the general public that no one, and I repeat, no one is being evicted from Madison Square Mall. Even the movie theater, after going out and visiting with them and looking at the investments that they put into that area, we, the city, decided to allow them to stay there. So as it relates to what's happening with Mid-City, we have been successful at reaching some kind of amicable agreement with the tenants, all of the tenants at Madison Square Mall. Just kind of an overview. I know Mr. Davis is here. You know, we're looking at doing a lot with that property over the next 4 to 5 years, which will include at least one additional hotel. It could also include several lofts, several apartments. It will include retail space, about 550,000 square feet. It will include some commercial space, about 150,000 square feet. It will also include a park, perhaps with a lake, with a track. It will include a rock climbing wall with possibly an outdoor amphitheater. So it's something that the general public is really excited about, and I certainly am as a representative of the district. And right now, where Madison Square Mall is, the state of it is deplorable. All of our police services are being diverted to that area. Some 1,400 calls for police service over the course of a year. So I think this is a great investment in terms of our partnership with the developers to bring something exciting to that corridor of our city. So we just want to make sure there isn't any misinformation. And I know Mr. Davis is here, and he can certainly give you a bit more in-depth look at what's happening there.
Thank you, Councilman Culver.
Thank you, Madam
Mr.
President.
Davis.
Council President, if I could follow up with Councilman Culver's comments for the record. City of Huntsville has not evicted a single tenant or person from Madison Square Mall. When we did the development agreement with you earlier in the year, in the urban renewal plan, we stated publicly to the council, and it remains our course, that this process would take time, that we would be diligent and fair in the way we redevelop that area, and that's what we're doing. The mall is completely vacant with only Sears and JCPenney as anchors. That has been private transactions by the mall ownership and tenants in there, either leases that have terminated or not been renewed, or some negotiation between that tenant and the property owner. The city has not been party to any of that. We've got the design guidelines that was required in the development agreement. Planning staff, engineering, and myself have reviewed those. We have those almost in final form, so maybe by the next December meeting or the first January meeting, we will be bringing that to you as an amendment to development agreement for you to accept that, to require the developer to meet the guidelines that we are requiring that development to be, as Councilman Culver mentioned. And we'll be able to unveil much more detail of what Mid-City will be. So we're probably a couple of weeks to 30 days away to doing that, because we're much further along, but we're doing it the right way as we promised when we brought that to you earlier in the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mayor.
And I might point out also, we had some other questions on there. Why is the Christmas parade tonight? Because it was set up a year ago. This was the only night that there were not other functions, so that we could actually close the streets for a downtown Christmas parade to be able to go through the downtown area. This was done a year ago. I'm sorry, we didn't know this was going to be on council agenda, or what was going to be on council agenda a year ago when the Von Center reserved this as a time to have the Christmas parade. Why are taxes taken out for longevity pay? Because the federal government requires you to take out taxes. It's a one-time payout. It is taken out. And longevity pay is something that we allow to our employees, and we do it because that we want to retain employees for the long term. But as it's a one-time payout, there is a tax that is taken out. IRS code calls for that. We have had some discussion about that today. When they file their taxes, they will be able to use that, and hopefully will not have to pay more taxes. That's part of the requirement of our IRS code. And the sewer, why is the sewer so high, and it's the same as the water? I'm just not sure. We can have Shane Cook talk to you about that if you have any real questions on that. The sewer rates have been the sewer rates for the past, how long, Mr. Cook?
The last sewer increase, Mayor, came off 2 years ago.
Okay. And so we have been running the same sewer rate this year that we've been running last year and the year before. You may find that it's somebody who does not have a sprinkler system. If they don't, they get charged the same thing for sewer, even though it doesn't go down the sewer. Sprinkler systems are only charged for the water that is used, and that may be the problem there. So thank you for your questions.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. That concludes our public comments. Item number 8A is a Huntsville Utilities item. This is the item that will require unanimous consent for consideration tonight. Is the introduction of an ordinance to provide for the issuance of $10,425,000 aggregate principal amount of water revenue warrants, Series 2016, dated December 20, 2016, of the City of Huntsville, Alabama. We need, Huntsville Utilities has asked for unanimous consent of the council to consider a vote on this item that is being introduced at this time. The chair moves for unanimous consent of this item.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kling. We will have a roll call vote. Mr. Keith? Mr. Kling?
Aye.
Mr. Culver?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. There is unanimous consent for consideration of this item. The chair moves for approval of this item.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. Mr. Gertis.
Put simply, Madam President, this is a follow-up item to a resolution that Council passed a few meetings back, allowing us to refinance some 2008 series bond debt. It will save us roughly $1.1 million over the next 20 years.
Council members, questions or discussion for Mr. Gertis? Mr. Keith.
Can you give a quick explanation? Are these things sort of time sensitive? We sort of want to grab an opportunity when we have it, the importance of it happening now?
That's correct, and we have, the timing is not absolutely crucial, but this will give us a little bit of flexibility when we have to act on this measure. So it would have been a little tight to wait until the next meeting to ask for your approval. That's the only reason we asked for unanimous consent.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from council members? All in favor of the motion, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Mr. Gertis, I believe you also have a little update for us.
Yes, ma'am. Last meeting, Councilman Keith asked about the posting of our board actions, and we have one member of the public here that's been very interested in that item, and I'd like to let Mr. Timberlake and council know that we have posted and will continue to post now what we call highlights from the board meetings. It includes all action items, any members of the public that attend and speak to the boards, and some high-level financials. Of course, anybody that wants to drill deeper into any of that information, they can contact us and get that information. But it is pretty close to what would be in the minutes, and hopefully that will suit Mr. Timberlake's interest and anyone else that wants to see what our boards are acting on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your responsiveness to the public. Our item number 9 is board appointments. We have one board appointment to be voted on. Item number 9A1 is a resolution to appoint Jan Davis to the Huntsville Ice Skating Complex Board of Control, Position 5, for a term to expire November 20th, 2019, nominated at the November 17th, 2016 regular council meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Kling, with a second by Mr. Culver. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have two board appointment nominations. The first is a nomination of Lane Dorning for reappointment to the Solid Waste Disposal Authority of the City Council of the City of Huntsville, second director, for a term to expire January 1st, 2021. The second is a nomination of Adrienne Van Kirk for appointment to the Land Trust of North Alabama Board of Directors for a term to expire December 31st, 2018. Both of these nominations will be considered at our December 15th meeting. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll go to the next item. Item number 10, approval of expenditures. Item 10A is a resolution authorizing expenditures for payment. Mr. Kling.
Madam President, move for payment of vouchers in the amount of $1,408,237.73.
Second by the chair. Is there any discussion or questions? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there a finance report, Mr. Kling?
Well, Madam President, Councilman Keith and I are certainly honored to be serving on the Finance Committee, and we have decided to add some additional lay citizens who would serve on an ad hoc basis for this 1 year. And for the record, James Butler, Cooper Green, Marisha Gurley, David Driscoll, Glenn Watson, and James Lomax will be serving with us as ad hoc members on the Finance Committee for this year.
Very good. Thank you very much. Anything else from the Finance Committee?
No.
Thank you. Item number 11, communications from the mayor. Mayor Battle, you have the floor.
Thank you. I want to thank the department heads who attended the Healthy Huntsville Walk today. It was the last Healthy Huntsville Walk of the year. Maybe we could walk some of the turkey off that we had from Thanksgiving. And to my new friend Robert, who is a second grader at Lakewood, I enjoyed walking with you. I enjoyed getting to know you today, and we had a good time walking around the track a couple times. While we were there, Councilman Keith, he thought it was jogging that we were supposed to be doing, so he was jogging around the track and we were walking, but we steadfastly held to our walking side of it to make sure it was the mayor's walk, not the mayor's jog. The Christmas parade is happening today, and I will tell you that my almost 2-year-old grandson is riding in the fire truck. He does not like the sirens, and last report he was crying. I'm not sure we made it all the way around in the fire truck, but we will find out a little bit later. But it is a great night. This kind of kicks off the whole holiday season. Tomorrow night, UAH will have their Christmas program that they have at the VBC. It's free to the public. It's a great program, and it's a great way to kick off the season. Galaxy Lights is at the Botanical Gardens from 5:30 to 9, and they are regularly blocking Bob Wallace Avenue, Mr. Kling over in your district. And happening downtown, we have the Tinsel Trail, which is in Big Spring Park East, and it's beautiful. We've got all the trees back up and looking good after the rain that we had. Thank goodness for the rain. We have skating in the park. We have Santa's Village, and we have music on the square. So there's a lot of things that are happening here during the holiday season, and that's, I think that's a special part of this community, is having that many items, that many things happening that pull us together as a community and make us appreciate what we have. We just went through Thanksgiving, and it was a great time to give thanks for all that we have received and all that we have. Now we go into Christmas, and maybe it's time for us to give away some of the things that we have and give back to some people who might have needs out there. And that's part of the season and part of the reason that we do a lot that we do. So have a happy holidays.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. We are now at communications from council members. Councilman Russell is not here tonight. We will start with Councilman Kling.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, one of the greatest projects that I've seen during the time I've been on the council kind of goes along with the theme of what Mayor Battle was talking about. There have been some private developers that have bought and taken literally all of Thomas Road, which is a challenged area located near Patton Road to the south of Drake Avenue. And Robert Collier has been the leader, sort of spearheaded the effort to clean up the whole street. And I was out there and had a great before day Thanksgiving lunch with the residents out there, and the work that's been done out there, the improvement that's been done on those buildings to make them more livable, and numerous areas of that street are being set aside exclusively for veterans to have a good place to live in, and it's just a great project. But that is one of the greatest projects that I've ever seen, and it's just amazing what people who get a full head of steam and a good idea what they can do when they put their mind to it. And if anybody's ever out and about, drive down Thomas Road. It's on the south side of Drake Avenue near Patton Road, and it's just incredible with the work that's been done. And I would have to say that Robert Collier is one of those heroes that we talk about in our community, and just a great project to see. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Kling. Mr. Culver.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to share with this body and the general public that We're having our town hall meeting Monday, December the 5th, 2016 at 6:30 p.m. This meeting will be at Williams Middle School in the cafetorium at 155 Baring Fork Boulevard, Huntsville, Alabama. We will have our city department heads. Mayor, thank you for allowing them to come and participate. We will also have ALDOT, Alabama Department of Transportation. As you all are already aware, we've been working on the Martin and Zert Road projects now for a minute. It has several phases. What we plan to do is to update the public where we are. I've been doing the best that I can to try and keep the public informed and updated. We are forging ahead with that project. I see Ms. Martin smiling back there, Ms. Kathy Martin, our city engineer, and we're just going to entertain whatever questions that the general public may have. So if you all would be so kind, we've sent out about 3,000 invitations to neighborhoods within that area, but the general public is welcomed. And if you all would be so kind to share that on your neighborhood chat programs and all of that, so that everybody will be informed. And Madam President, I think that is all that I have.
Thank you, Mr. Culver. Mr. Keith.
Thank you, Madam President. Let me first say again, thank you to department heads, everybody from the first floor on up. I'm learning to drink a little bit faster. Starting to fill that schedule in a little bit better and stay true to time. But you guys have been wonderful with the questions and the emails, and I'm going to keep coming with the questions, so you just keep that patience. As the mayor said, I tried to change his walk into a run because, unfortunately, I have campaign and Thanksgiving weight to lose, so I'm a little behind. I would also like to say, for the individuals who are here, I see familiar faces, we're going to have our first town hall. It's going to be at G's Country Kitchen. Yes, I said G's Country Kitchen. You can come get you some food. Everybody's invited. This is going to be a little bit unique. It's going to be on the 12th at 6:30 at G's, and it's going to be unique because I reached out to our District 1 City School Board rep, and she will also have a joint town hall there as well. So we'll get an opportunity just to take a lot of questions and understand where we're moving forward in 2017. Everybody's invited. You might come there just to get the snack and head on home. That would be understandable, but we should have a good conversation about where we're moving forward and trying to have cohesion between the two bodies. Again, I just want to say thank you to the mayor's staff and everybody from literally actually the basement on up for just the patience and the continued support you guys have given. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Keith. I had the opportunity, I've been gone for the last 3 weeks in Southern California, other than a quick trip home for the last council meeting. I was there to welcome a new grandbaby who was born right before Thanksgiving, and I'm grateful just publicly for all the prayers that were expressed on behalf of his mama, who got to spend an extra week at the hospital after he came home. So I got to spend the time with a newborn and a 2-year-old, which, let me tell you, was an interesting experience. I'm grateful to be home and to sleep. I love the way Huntsville does Christmas. The mayor ran down the list of all the activities. I hope everybody takes advantage of them. This is just a magical time of year, and Huntsville does Christmas like no one does Christmas. It's a wonderful, wonderful time of year. The South Huntsville Business Association is going to have their Christmas social on December 13th at 4:30 at the Doubletree Hotel. And it would, anyone who is interested in the South Huntsville Business Association, this would be a great time for you to come and join us. It will be open to the public. That concludes communications from council members. The next item, item 13, is unfinished business items for action. Item 13A is ordinance number 16-891, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Huntsville, Article 3, City Council Section 2-67A1, City Council Committee election, to separate the City Council vote on representatives to serve on the Planning Commission and Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO. This was introduced November 17th, 2016 at our regular council meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion from Mr. Culver, a second. Second by the chair. A discussion. Mr. Kling, I believe this is your item. Would you like to make any comments on this?
This is basically just something I came up with. I figured the time to do it would be, during this transition period. You basically have 24 meetings that the representative planning commission will be attending, and they're going to be anywhere from 4 on up meetings that the MPO person be attending. So it just seemed like it would made sense to break it up so that one person wouldn't have too much of a burden.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Please note that items 17A and B will be action resulting from, in accordance with this new ordinance. We're now moving to new business items for introduction. Item 14A is an introduction of an ordinance annexing 1.16 acres of land lying on the north side of Hartside Road and north of Victoria Hill Drive. Item 14B is introduction of an ordinance annexing 38.92 acres of land lying on the east side of Old Big Cove Road and north of Hampton Ridge Drive. These items will both be considered at our December 15th meeting. We are now at new business items for consideration or action. Are there any items anyone wishes to hold?
Madam President, I'd like to, I think we had a request, which I think is certainly a valid one, to hold the city center agenda items, and I believe that is item Q.
Items O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, and V.
Correct.
And W.
Are there any other items to be held?
Yes. Madam President, add W to that as well, please.
Absolutely. Any other items? New business items for consideration of action. A is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into agreements with the low bidder meeting specifications as outlined in the attached summary of bids for acceptance. B is an ordinance amending budget ordinance number 16-659 by changing appropriated funding for various departments and funds. C is an ordinance amending budget ordinance number 16-659 by changing the authorized personnel strength in various departments and funds. D is a request for authorization to advertise and fill 1 green team assistant. E is a request for authorization to advertise and fill 1 position of license and permit clerk grade 10. F is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a subordination agreement with Regions Bank and Clarkston Square LP for the Clarkston Square Senior Multifamily Project. G is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into modification number 1 between the City of Huntsville and Family Services Center, Inc. to modify budgeted line items in agreement approved by Resolution 15-542. H is a resolution authorizing the mayor to apply for a grant with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security regarding the FY 2016 AFG Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program. The project budget is $158,030 with a 90-10 match, which amounts to $143,644 federal dollars and $14,366 local dollars. I is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Garver LLC for engineering design services for Zert Road improvements, project number 65-06-RD01 and STPHV-ACAA 62037F-ATRP 016. Total cost of the project is $528,285. Local funds are committed are $105,657. J is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Skipper Consulting, Inc. for engineering services for Rideout Road, State Road 255 widening project number 71-17-RD01. Total cost is $52,198 with local funds $26,099. K is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and OMI, Inc. for construction materials testing services for Big Spring Park seawall stabilization project number 65-15-DR05. L is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Garver LLC for engineering, construction, administration services for 2016 Water Pollution Control Sanitary Sewer Rehabilitation Contract 3, project number 71-17-SP06. M is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute amendment IDW22 to the Microsoft enrollment through Software House International. N is a resolution authorizing the clerk treasurer to invoke First Commercial Bank letter of credit number 1019 for Oakhurst 4th Edition subdivision. The chair moves for consolidations of items A through N.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. We'll now go through the individual items as requested, and I believe Mr. Davis has a presentation for us. Item number O is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the plat entitled City Center, parts of Block 22 of Urban Renewal Project, Alabama R32, Big Spring Area, Plat Book 8, pages 22 and 23. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by the chair. Is there, Mr. Davis, would you please present for us? And I believe your presentation is going to apply to all the remaining items.
Yes, Council President, thank you for the floor. Council members, tonight there are 8 items regards to City Center. I will apologize for so many items at one time. They're all related, and hopefully when I get done with the presentation, you will find that it's more legal in changing schedules and to let the project move forward. So just really quickly, just a quick background of the City Center project. As you're well aware, it was a competitive RFP process, the former Holiday Inn site, and RCP City Center LLC was a chosen development team to partner with the city to redevelop that space. Phase 1 will include 240 multifamily units, the AC Marriott Hotel that has already been announced, and 38,000 square feet of retail space. Phase 2 will consist of a second hotel and additional mixed-use components. So tonight, as Council President Robinson just read, item 15O is authorize the mayor to sign the plat entitled City Center, parts of Block 222 of Urban Renewal Project, Alabama R3, Big Spring Park, Plat Book 8, pages 22 and 23. Then we have the deletion of original City Center agreements. Back in February of 15, we entered into a standard development agreement with City Center LLC and the City of Huntsville, both for a land lease, ground lease, and a development agreement. As the project evolved, it being a mixed-use project, the project needed to be divided into the multifamily piece and then the retail and hotel piece. The partners that our local developer brought in, the multifamily entity doesn't do hotels and retail and vice versa. So we brought to you new development agreements and ground leases that were labeled City Center 1 LLC and City Center 2 LLC. And we did that back in August. At that time, the legal department and myself failed to bring you the original one to delete that is no longer active. So you would be deleting that original one that you've already superseded with private development agreements with, or individual agreements, I apologize, for City Center 1 and City Center 2, and I will show that on the screen momentarily. So those are items 15P and 15Q. They currently do not pertain anything to the development anymore because of that. The plat that you're authorizing the mayor to sign, should you vote, will create those 2 separate lots, one for the retail and the multifamily piece, and the other for the remaining retail and the hotel components. City Center 1 will develop the hotel and retail components. City Center 2 LLC will do the multifamily. And I have some exhibits to show you in this presentation. So this is the 15O. This is the proposed plat that, should you pass, would give the mayor permission to sign that. The reason we need the mayor's signature is it's city-owned property. You may remember we retained ownership and we're just doing a lease. So these are the 2 lots that were created. Currently, the Holiday Inn site is 1 lot. The reason for the plat is to create the 2 lots so that you can see lot 1 is City Center 2. They will do the multifamily and retail in that portion. And then lot 2 is City Center 1. That's where the AC Marriott and the other retail components and the food hall would be. So that is item 15O. The development agreements, as I just mentioned, there's 2 of them that currently exist with the city that you passed earlier in the year. One is a development agreement with City Center 1, and the second, which is item 15Q, amending that one. Then item 15R is amending the current development agreement with City Center 2, which is the multifamily component. And then accompanying each development agreement, there's a ground lease to lease the city-owned property there. Those are items 15S and 15T. Again, doing an amendment to City Center 1's ground lease and City Center 2's ground lease. There's one other item that we typically bring when we have leased property that's of the cities to be developed, and that's a declaration of easements, covenants, and restrictions for the property. And I'll get into what those are at a later slide. That will be item 15V. And the reason we're just now bringing you to this is they're ready to start construction. Until we finally finalize the design, it's hard to get these easements and declarations till the design is 100% complete. So you know where the easements are, where the right-of-ways and public access and pedestrian accesses are. So we're now ready to bring that to you. Again, so this is the overall development of City Center. As I have mentioned, City Center 1 LLC is Lot 2 and 3. That is that Lot 2 will contain a structured parking garage that will be owned and operated by the developer, 100% funded by the developer, the AC Marriott food hall, and 38,000 square feet of retail. They do have an option for Lot 3, which will be the second hotel, some office, and more retail. The same local entity, RCP companies, are the majority ownership of both LLCs. It's just their hotel partner and their multifamily partner was the reason to create these two different LLCs. But they are the controlling entity, which we were required by the original development agreement. So they are the person, our point of contact here locally. City Center 2 LLC would develop Lot 1. That's the 240 multifamily units kind of shown in the gold and yellow, and the additional retail shown in red. So to get in a little more detail to the items at hand for you to consider tonight, the development agreements, items 15Q, which deals with City Center 1, or the hotel and the retail components. It's mainly updating the commencement deadlines in the city work. So hotel number 1 and retail components, should you approve this tonight, would modify the development agreement to change the foundation construction to start January 5th on the hotel, and then full interior and exterior components must start on or before March 10th, first quarter. And the reason of that gap is give time to dig the foundations, pour the concrete, let it set, and then go vertical. And it has a no later date than May the 15th, 2018 to be fully occupied for occupancy for the public to do business there at the hotel. Parking deck number 1 lies behind the AC Marriott. Foundation construction would start December the 16th, so that's only a couple of weeks away. Phase 1 commencement, the remaining portions of the vertical portion of the parking deck would start February the 28th, 2017, and with a completion of May 15th, 2018. The city work, we are ongoing with the Culver Greenway that has been much talked about and publicized of enclosing a portion of the Fagan Creek, I apologize, work. That has been delayed due to some permitting. It's one of the reasons that we're here tonight. The original agreements had much more aggressive schedules that both the developer and the city tried to accommodate, but with permitting that's outside our control or a developer's control is the reason we're here tonight. It just hasn't been able to happen as quickly as we would have liked. So the existing agreements, the developer is late, but so is the city. So some would say that they were unrealistic goals in the original development agreement. I think they were the best guess at what we had at the time. And then the other is the William Avenue improvements. That's the streetscape and the Dr. Lowry Boulevard, setting of completion date of May 15, 2018. Dr. Lowry Boulevard will be completed by the end of the year, but the streetscapes along Williams back towards the VBC, we will need to delay those so they get a little further along in their construction, just from a coordination standpoint. So what you would be approving with item 15Q is primarily just changing the completion and start dates within the existing development agreement. All requirements by the developer to perform remain unchanged, and our commitments remain unchanged. It's just when that work starts and must finish. So that is the change that you would be considering. Item 15R is pretty much the same, but it is with City Center 2 LLC, which is the multifamily components of the overall project. Again, just date changes of start and completion dates, both for the developer and the city. And those are on the screen. The multifamily units to start no later than November 2017. With that would be foundations, vertical construction starting a few months after that, and completion a little over 12 months. The parking deck pretty much follows the same itinerary line as far as construction on foundation, vertical, and completion would be built simultaneously because the apartments do run that parking garage. Again, the city work is the same as far as our due dates on that as is with items 15Q, the city center number 1. The ground lease amendments, they are practically identical because the terms of the ground lease is the same as the original development agreement. The only thing we did is it had an exhibit that referenced the construction schedules that were in the development agreement. So naturally we had to update that exhibit to reflect the development agreement schedules. We added language that the culvert and greenway will be the city's and that we will have maintenance responsibilities as we do with any culvert or greenway throughout the city. And then we updated the lease area legal description now that final design and surveying work of our streetscape and Dr. Lowry Boulevard, we could finally hone in and give them a legal description of the exact property they're able to develop. So we added an update of that. And that's the 2 ground leases. So the only other item for you to consider would be 15V, and that's the master declaration. So I want to walk you through what is in the master declaration and what it would do and set forth for the development. It provides protections for the city and our citizens, the quality and scale of the project, and its long-term maintenance of that project to make sure that it remains a first-class development. So it establishes easements, rights-of-way, sidewalks, and pedestrian facilities. They shall be non-exclusive, otherwise meaning shared, for all public use by the public and tenants. So they're private. We want it to be a public facility with a retail and a hospitality and multifamily. So it defines that they're non-exclusive to the developer. They're shared. Parking establishes that all service parking can be non-exclusive and open to the public. That would be our on-site parking, street side, or any on-site surface parking that they have that would be free and open to the public. It also gives notice that the parking decks that are to be built will be built by the developer and that they will operate and maintain those, that there will be no cost of operation and maintenance by the city. They will be privately owned by the development team. Utilities establish all tracks within development shall allow for various cross easements for the installation, maintenance, and repair of utilities. What does that mean in simple terms of Huntsville Utilities and Water Pollution Control? Wherever we need to provide service to a restaurant or the hotel, that no easement will be denied to service that in the most cost-effective manner possible, as we would in any subdivision. Project design. The declaration establishes that all future tenants that they would lease to shall comply to the city center design guidelines that they've placed on themselves, and also would follow the city center brand manual that the developer has created for the site, that any tenant that would come in here would adhere to those design standards. Places use restrictions on the type of tenants allowed within a city center development. It follows our current zoning, but is a little more strict to follow what our intent was with the RFP of the style and quality of tenants that we would want, you used to see in a downtown urban environment. The last piece of the declaration, it creates a city center association. It's made up of the owners or tenants or lessees, restaurants, the hoteliers that would be on the development. It establishes this development association to ensure that all tenants within the development adhere to this declaration and master plan of the development. Every owner or business in the development would be a member of that association, and think of it like an HOA, but for a specific commercial development. It allows for common area maintenance fees to cover annual operation and maintenance of common areas within the development, like mowing grass or private decorative lamps or public art, that everybody would share into that. That is very similar to any mall or commercial space that you see. Everybody kind of shares in making sure the trash is collected and those fees are paid and the grass is mowed. So it sets that up for the overall development. And it requires owners or businesses to carry minimum insurance coverages, something that we require. So it ensures that whoever would lease space in there would cover our minimum city. That would be workman's compensation, general liability, or builder's risk, et cetera. Any typical business type insurance. So it guarantees that that would be with any tenant there. So those are the items. I kind of want to go through some slides that may visually help you understand who's doing what. So City Center number 1, LLC to the left, you have the retail component in red, the AC Marriott Hotel, parking deck number 1, the food hall concept, hotel number 2, and future office. And then City Center 2 LLC, which you're modifying that development agreement, and ground lease would be doing retail B, parking deck number 2, and the multifamily unit. So I think this image depicts a better feel of what the development agreement ground lease to the 2 different entities are. Again, the master entity is RCP Companies here locally in Huntsville, and they have full control, and that's a requirement we have made them commit to from day one. The City of Huntsville construction, we continue to get near completion of Dr. Lowry Boulevard. That's to your immediate right. We are working on the downtown Culver and downtown Greenway extension there to the south of the development. That has held the developer up from starting, and we have been held up just due to some permitting issues. The site is very tight. We've used the site for which they would be constructed for some laydown area for both Dr. Lowry Boulevard and for the culvert enclosure in Greenway. But we are very close to getting that permit, so we feel comfortable with the dates we've brought you tonight. And then the streetscape improvements along Williams, and that should start late next year once they've got much further along with the AC Marriott in the retail. Excuse me. So before tonight, council members, I've only brought you what I would call architect renderings of the AC Marriott. I can tell you that our inspection department has spent the last 2 weeks reviewing full construction plans. We're ready, should you approve tonight, to issue the foundation permit. Bill Harbert Construction will be building the entire project and will mobilize next week. We're putting construction trailers, getting their temporary power and utilities set to get started with foundations. This is what will be our AC Marriott. This is an exact replica rendering of the plans that's set in our inspections department. There is a restaurant. One of the delays in the design, all AC Marriotts are custom designed. When we announced this, it was the 10th in the U.S. They've now announced 2 more, so we'll be one of 12 in the country to have an AC Marriott. We had the opportunity to recruit and work on a brand new restaurant to the southeast United States, be the first in Alabama. I can't announce that. They will be announcing this month, but it will go on the corner. So we had to work with AC Marriott to allow them to go on that corner. So some of the delay will be very well worth it to our public when things start happening this month. But this will be your AC Marriott. This is another view of this AC Marriott. This is a view looking at from Williams back to the east, about the bridge area. So this will be the valet street side along Williams Avenue directly across the street from Big Spring Park. And then again, this is the alley interior roadway. You're looking back north into Big Spring Park. If you look in this joint, this is the food hall concept that will consist of about 15 good quality restaurants, but think of sit down dining in a food court type atmosphere. It's a trend that most cities are trying to go to if you want to be considered a food hub. Birmingham's trying to get their first going, Charlotte, Dallas. So we're on that cusp end of being some of those first cities in the country to have those. Ponce City Market in Atlanta just opened up and it's got raving success, and we think this will add a good vibe to downtown. So this is what will start in December, the foundations for the hotel, and this is the parking garage in the back. So this will start in December and January. This will probably come in the summer just to get some of the heavy construction out of the way for these multi-story structures. This is some of the finishes that you would see pretty common in this food court design. They are finishing the plans for that, and we'll submit those first of the year for us to permit. And these are the apartments. These are the first renderings that I've been able to show you. The apartments are 60% complete. The project team has hired Wakefield Beasley, very renowned U.S. Architectural firm out of Atlanta, to design these. So the top view would be from Dr. Joseph Lowry Boulevard looking back to the west along street side. The center portion is more of a townhouse feel format. almost a brownstone look, but it will be apartments for rent, not for sale, because we do own the land. And then the interior alleyway would be your more traditional first floor retail, and then the upper floors being more multifamily. This is a 3D model of the corner of Williams and Dr. Lowry Boulevard. This is not a conceptual rendering. This is actually the architectural design turned into a photo. So this will be the entire look of your multifamily units there on the corner of Dr. Lowry and Williams. And then again, the interior plaza, a little more close-up 3D view of the first floor retail and the 3 stories of multifamily above. Again, this would be looking north towards Big Spring Park. To the right would be the multifamily. To the left, you see the food hall, and then in the background, you see the AC Marriott. The interior alley would be one way, but the developer will have control, since he is building it being private, to close that for festivals or any type of entertainment that he may choose to host there. And this would be a look from Big Spring Park, looking back south at the development, with AC Marriott being to your right and the multifamily and retail to your left. We've been asked this. I've shown this slide before. It has been updated because the project investment continues to increase as they have honed in and got, I think initially we showed you $65 million private investment. It is now pushing $80 million. So the 20-year return on investment to our citizens in the city is just over $32 million. Our investment for the streetscape to do this project will be somewhere between $3 and $5 million. So very good return on investment to our community, adds a significant piece of property downtown with new development. And I think it will help not only with our everyday citizens, but also those traveling and staying in our downtown and just in our city. I'll answer any questions you may have, council members.
Council members, questions for Mr. Davis?
Madam President.
Mr. Culver.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Davis, we own the property, and if I understand correctly, I believe Lot 3 pays about $1 million. How is the rent divided between Lot 1 and Lot 2?
So I don't have those exact. It's $144,000 annually.
Okay.
This is about 4.7 acres, and this, I believe, is about 4.3. So it's pro rata of those.
Okay.
So if you
I get it.
prorated that total, this will be 144,000. You are right. Lot 3, they have, I think it's first part of January to exercise that option. You know, we're building an aquatic center, so time is not right to exercise that option. But it is $1 million purchase price, and those funds will be dedicated to the council court rebuild.
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam President.
Other questions?
Madam, the streetscape that we're doing on Williams Avenue, we're still going to have the same number of lanes for car traffic, aren't we?
We're continuing to study that. We paid Saney & Associates. You approved a contract back earlier in the year, and we have that traffic study. We've not started the streetscape design, and still contemplating on how best to do that. We'll certainly make sure we have enough lanes. So the traffic study actually recommended westbound on Williams, dropping that to 1 lane, but the predominant traffic leaving the VBC eastbound on Monroe and Williams was to leave that 2 lane. We've made no decision at this time. Before we do, we will certainly, Ms. Martin and myself will be bringing you a presentation when we start that design. That design will probably take place sometime in early 2017, but we plan to bring that to you to show what we recommend those recommendations to be.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Mr.
Thank you, Madam President. And you might not be able to answer this question. Do we have any plans for the Scruggs Center? I can only imagine the property value is about to increase in that area. Are we going to keep? And maybe you don't know that, and maybe I need to ask.
Councilman Keith, the Scruggs Center is actually on Lot 3.
Okay.
And Colonel Hamilton could answer how he plans to move that. But the pool area is actually getting replaced with the current aquatic center that's under construction. The regional development agreement allowed Lot 3, where the Scruggs Center currently resides, to be purchased for $1 million because of Parks and Recreation's replacement with the new aquatic center. And then You want to add that, Mayor?
And we might mention that that $1 million is dedicated towards the council school rehabilitation, and we've dedicated that much towards that because, quite frankly, we're going to be losing a basketball court, and we'll be as part of the rehabilitation is another basketball court that can service the community.
That's correct, Mayor.
Thank you, Shane.
Mr. Davis, in the agreements listed in items O through V, is there anything in any of those agreements which would either change or increase the costs associated with this project?
No, Council President. Only dates.
So this is legal cleanup and just updating the agreements to match the division of the properties.
That's
right?
correct. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any reason why anybody at the Christmas parade tonight should be concerned about these agreements?
No, ma'am.
None at all. Very good. Thank you. Any other questions? Then we will proceed with item number 15O, a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the plat entitled City Center Parts of Block 22 of Urban Renewal Project, Alabama R32, Big Spring Area, Plat Book 8, pages 22, 23. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Culver. Is there any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 15P is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a termination of development agreement between the City of Huntsville and City Center LLC. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Culver. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15Q is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a termination of ground lease agreement between the City of Huntsville and City Center LLC. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15R is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a First Amendment to development agreement between the City of Huntsville and City Center 1 LLC. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 15S is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a First Amendment to development agreement between the City of Huntsville and City Center 2 LLC. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15T is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a First Amendment to ground lease agreement between the City of Huntsville and City Center 1 LLC. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15U is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a First Amendment to ground lease agreement between the City of Huntsville and City Center 2 LLC. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number V is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute the master declaration of easements, covenants, and restrictions for the City of Huntsville by City Center 1 LLC, City Center 2 LLC, and City Center Association, Inc. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, council members.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I think that includes those items. We have one last item. 15W is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of agreement between the City of Huntsville, Alabama, and the Huntsville City Board of Education. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kling. Mr. Hamilton. Thank you. I'm really sleep deprived. Mr. Hamilton.
Good evening, Madam President, members of council. What you have at 15W is a little bit unusual. It's kind of opposite of what you just dealt with, where you had kind of one single item split out into 8 separate agenda items. In this case, you have multiple disparate items rolled up into a single agreement, and I recognize that's somewhat unusual. And so I want to go through each one of the elements of this agreement individually, and give you the opportunity to ask questions about each one, because they each are disparate. And so I think it'll be kind of cleanest and most transparent to address each one individually. So what you have is an agreement between the city and the school board on a number of different items that we've been working with them on for quite some time. And some of these go back to administrative cleanup of agreements that have been in place since 2013. Other ones are new items. And so we'll hit each one in order. The first, in this agreement, we asked the school board to express their intent to support TIF action within CRP if that becomes necessary. So as you know, we've been going through in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce and the owners throughout CRP and updating the master plan for the park. Included in that master plan, and you should see the final versions of that in the very near future, there is a number of infrastructure improvements that are contemplated, both additions to the existing infrastructure as well as just improvements to the existing infrastructure. While there is much work to be done to determine the best way to fund those improvements, and there's a lot of work to be done to determine what the timelines with that ought to be, one of the options that would be available to us is to contemplate a TIF. There has been absolutely no decision yet to pursue a TIF. If we do make that decision in the future, I think you're familiar with the procedures that we have to go through. There's a number of votes that you and other bodies would have to take in order to approve that. So nothing about tonight's agreement in any way jumps ahead of those actions. What the school board has done in this agreement is express their intent to support the TIF. Their support, as well as the county commission, is important to that process. And so we asked them to go ahead and contemplate that and express their intent to do so. So there is a clause in this agreement that merely expresses their intent to support the TIF action if it's necessary and to work with us on that action if it's necessary. So I want to pause here and see if you have any questions about that particular element of this agreement.
Do you have questions for Mr. Hamilton? Questions?
Okay, the second item is the City of Huntsville supporting, as we do, essentially procedurally support the school board when they need to go to the bond market and issue warrants for debt. They have a need to issue additional debt in order to complete the funding for the Grissom High School construction as well as the Morris P8 construction. And they need to get that done out of what is our typical cycle. As you're aware, we typically are going to the bond market once every 2 years to support our capital improvement plan. They typically partner with us on that, kind of piggyback on our debt issues. In this case, they have additional funding requirements that were not known and dealt with in the last cycles. They've asked us to support them in going back to the bond market out of cycle, out of what was typically our cycle. As it turns out, we also have some small debt issue requirements to fund some items in the 1990 capital plan as well as the 2014 capital plan. So this is an opportunity for us to complete those things. Those are all actions that are already in the budget for us. You've already approved those previously in the capital improvement plans. It's just time now to go to the debt market to fund those items. And so we actually have the opportunity to essentially piggyback on their debt issue and through our finance department support that process. And so again, there's, as you know, when we go to the bond market, there are multiple votes that you and in this case the school board will have to take. This in no way changes those. The procedures will be exactly the same as they always are. But this is just, they've asked us in this agreement to express our willingness to support their debt requirements as we always do. Very routine. And there's nothing unusual about it. We will be doing exactly as we would any other time. The item that's different or unusual is the fact that we're doing it out of the cycle that you typically see us going to the bond market. So are there any questions on this item?
Mr. Culver.
Yes. Thank you, Madam President. So, what process will we use to take these bonds to the market? Will we sell them to a sole source, or will we utilize our teams that we've had in place with the various vendors, for lack of a better description?
So, Councilman, as you're saying, sometimes there's an RFP, a competitive process. In some cases, we use a syndicate. That decision has not been made yet. We will go through the same advice processes and the same decision-making process and bring that back to you when that time comes. It will be fairly soon. I mean, we expect to do this within the first quarter of 2017. So, you know, it'll be coming back to you pretty quickly. But that decision has not been made yet, but it will be made soon, obviously, in order to support the timelines.
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam President.
Other questions?
Okay. The next series of items I actually have separate slides for to give a little more background. The first one is just some updates and amendments to the agreement that the city has with the school system to purchase the J.O. Johnson High School and Grissom High School campuses as they're vacated by the school system. So that original purchase agreement was completed back in September of 2013. The purchase price that the city and the school system have agreed to for those two campuses was a total of $8 million. What was contemplated and what's been executed is that $6 million of that was delivered in value through the city building road network necessary to support the new Grissom campus, where the land that they purchased for the Grissom campus was isolated and so needed road infrastructure in order to access it. The city agreed to build that road network, and what was estimated and what was executed was approximate $6 million value. And the agreement then had us complete that $8 million purchase price in the form of cash, $2 million. So in this agreement, we have come to agreement on the value of the road that we built. We will, with your approval of this tonight, then follow this up with a letter to the school system that validates that $6 million value on the road, and that gives them the first. Think of that letter as payment in the form of a road for the school for those two school campuses. The $2 million is budgeted in the 1990 capital plan. It is you have previously approved that, so what you're doing tonight in no way changes the budget associated with this land purchase. But what we have done, just based on the availability of funds and the way in which the timelines have laid out, we're recommending that we agree to deliver that $2 million to them at the time of closing on the J.O. Johnson property. Previously, it was contemplated to provide that at the time of closing on the second property. The money is in the bank, is available, and as we're working with them on funding streams for some of their capital plan, it makes sense for the community for us to go ahead and deliver that money to them and put it to work within the school system. So we're recommending a change to that payment date and pay the $2 million at the time of closing on the J.O. Johnson property. The other thing that was not really well known back in 2013 is really what the construction timelines would be. And so we've worked with the school system now to go ahead and lock in no later than dates for closing on the properties. The first one is the easy one. The Johnson campus is now ready for them to transfer that to us. And one of the things that we have told them is that we don't want to take possession of the campuses until they're completely done with them. As I think you're probably aware, when Jemison opened at the beginning of this school year, there were still some athletic facilities that the schools needed to use on the Johnson campus. And so we asked them for the school system to go ahead and just retain that campus until they were truly completed with it. They're now completed and they're ready for us to close on Johnson. And so this agreement allows the mayor and superintendent working through the legal staffs to establish a closing date, but no later than December 31st of 2016. So within the next 30 days, we would close on the Johnson campus. The specific date is not yet determined. That'll likely be determined more by the schedule of whatever closing attorney we use as opposed to anything else. It's ready for us to take it, and we've told them that we'll take it as soon as they're completed with it. The second one is the Grissom High School closing, and they asked us to set it no later than date of June 30th, 2018. Now, for some folks, that date could seem alarming, and it should not be. Our information right now is that everything on the timeline associated with the construction of the new Grissom High School campus is on schedule, and it is our understanding they fully intend to open it on schedule this coming fall, the fall of 2017. And if they have vacated the current campus, the old campus, then we would close as soon as we are able to complete those legal processes. But kind of in the abundance of caution, because there are things that can occur in a major construction project like that maybe no one can control, we went ahead and set a no later than date of June of 18. Here's why they asked for the date and why they wanted the flexibility. If for some reason they're unable to move to the new Grissom campus right on time, they want the superintendent and the school board and the school administration to have the flexibility to choose to move when it's least disruptive to the children. And so that may or may not be during the school year. We want them to have the flexibility to make sure that the kids in the school and the teachers are best accommodated on how they make that physical transition from the old campus to the new campus. Right now, I fully expect to be coming back to you and updating you in the summer of 17 that we're about to close on the property and take possession of it by late summer, early fall of 2017. But if they encounter issues, and I think those are things that we would all know well beforehand, there's a possibility that we slide that closing until they truly vacate. Though we clearly have additional uses and plans to do development there, none of those things are more important than ensuring the kids have a school building to go to on a daily basis. And so those are things that we'll be dialoguing with him on a regular basis. We'll maintain awareness of exactly where they are in that construction process. And if we see issues, we'll update you on that and make sure everybody understands kind of what's happening with the transition out of Grissom. So don't be alarmed by that 2018 date. I think everybody's counting on moving to the new campus in the fall of 17, and there's no reason for us to believe that that won't happen at this time.
Can I ask a question, Madam President?
Yes, please.
I just want to confirm. So before December 31st, we will own Johnson in a sense. We'll have the keys to Johnson.
Correct. Absolutely, the entire campus.
And do you know what department that would go under, just for my own information? Would it be under Department of Recs? At that point, does it move to another department? Is it General Services or?
Well, there's a couple different ways to answer that question. What will happen is General Services will take possession of the facilities, and then we will begin working on what those other uses are. We have had 2 or 3 planning sessions with the public. I think you were able to attend at least some of those to receive public input on future uses of that campus. We got a lot of great input. There was a decision made in the fall to slow that process until we got through a number of things that were occurring during the fall, the multiple election cycles being part of that. And so now I think we're really ready to restart that conversation. We've got a couple uses that likely need to be temporary, and then also more permanent things to work through. And so those are things that we need to dialogue on, and I think that we really need to start setting a schedule where administration and certainly as representative of that district kind of jointly host some more sessions to kind of to restart that process, because we have kind of put it back on the back burner for the last couple months to get through the things that we've been doing, and we need to restart that conversation to talk and really refine those more permanent uses. There clearly are great potential for some recreational uses on that campus, and so those portions would be turned over to Parks and Recreation to own and manage. There's other portions that likely would go to some sort of commercial development, in which case it would go through some of the processes just like what Mr. Davis was talking about tonight with City Center. And so those are all things that are to be determined.
But I am right to say in the future that we own the building, but we have no set plans or anything. But at this point, we just own the building before December 31st.
Correct.
All right. Thank you so much.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Hamilton?
Next thing is Fernbell Park, and this is one that has probably been talked about the most within a number of constituent groups, and certainly a couple different city council members represent people who are major users of Fernbell Park. So what you're looking at there is a map of the Whitesburg P8, the school, and that is the new school building. When the school began planning for that construction, as they cited it, they needed to be able to use a portion of parkland that contained a multi-use field. It was essentially a football, soccer field that had a couple softball infields cut into it, though useful not really to the standard that we would like, and it is a park that had been there for quite some time. And so what was contemplated at the time was to shut down those ball fields, deed the property to the school system so they could construct the school, and then once they had torn down the old school, which was approximately there, then develop plans for the replacement of those 2 softball fields, which was the primary need out of the capability that was lost out of that original Fernbell school. So what you see in blue is the area where we will build 2 new softball fields. What was agreed to really kind of verbally and with the public by the leadership of the school system at the time was that the school system would pay to replace those fields. What you have before you tonight is the formal agreement that actually locks in the dollar amounts that they will transfer to us to fund that construction. So what you see on the left is a rendering that was very preliminary. It was really just a kind of proof of principle to prove that the fields would actually fit on that site. You, several weeks ago, approved a contract with Foresight to do the actual design of those fields. We're nearing completion of that design process, so we're getting close to being ready to finalize construction documents and to bid those the contracts for construction. Some of that will be done by departments internally, much like the work you see going on in Big Spring Park, but most of that will be really kind of beyond the scope of what our departments would do, and we'll contract out most of that construction. What will occur there is 2 softball fields, lights, dugouts, bullpens, everything associated with the fields to be fully functional. There will be a 2-story building that will serve as a press box for both of those fields, as well as provide storage. There is a separate storage building required by the league that plays there, a pavilion, and concessions, restrooms, the typical facilities that we put at any one of these ball field kind of complexes, as well as batting cage. And those are good replacements for the facilities that we lost on the original Fern Bell. It is not an exact one-for-one. What we have done is, one, analyzed what was there and understood what the capacity was, but also looked at what is the demand today for the leagues that participate there, and this will do, we think, a very good job of meeting their demands. I'm going to go back one slide and show you a little bit what I'm talking about. So currently, this is the ball fields in an area known as Fern Gully. They have 2 baseball fields, 1 softball field, and a t-ball field. The leagues that participate there are some of the largest leagues that we have in the city, and they actually sometimes share with other leagues from surrounding areas. So when we get the 2 new softball fields here, one is it doubles what they have for softball right now, but also allows us to convert that softball to a baseball field. So both baseball and softball will, in terms of their capacity, grow for this neighborhood and for this league by building these 2 new softball fields. So it makes a real difference for the leagues that are using these fields. The other element that this will do is give us a use agreement for the parking lot. One of the things in all of the master planning we're doing for all of our parks is trying very, very hard to be smart about the way we do parking. It would, I think, be very frustrating to the public and very wasteful of taxpayer dollars to cover up our parks with asphalt in order to park them. And so where we have the opportunity to have shared use agreements for parking, we do that. You see that happen extensively in the Bronze Springs and Merrimack Park areas. We're doing the same thing in John Hunt Park, and we have the same opportunity here, since these 2 fields will sit adjacent to the school, and the use of the fields is typically outside of school hours. We'll be able to use their parking and not build any additional parking for this park. We'll use the school parking lot. So what happens? Right now, some of that land actually is encumbered by underground infrastructure, storm drain system, sewer system, and a detention pond. The school system has responsibility for removing that and rough grading the site. They will then provide a little over $1.1 million, $1,144,060. I know that seems like an odd amount. That was based on our estimates for the construction of those facilities, and so they asked us to be precise, and we were able to do that. So that's where that number comes from, and that would be to cover the design and construction of the park. We will receive deed to the property. The precise meets and bounds of that is to be determined as we complete the design and have the full site requirements. Then what we will get from them is the land required to support the park, not more, not less. We will manage the design and construction. So once we have the funds from them, then we will have control over that process, and we'll not be relying on them to manage our construction process for us. And then, as stated before, we'll have access to the school parking lot adjacent to the site. Any other questions on that item?
Council members? I do have one question. It is unusual for us to have this fruit salad of all these issues together. Why are we doing this?
Well, and there's more to come.
Okay.
It is unusual. That was at the request of the school administration. As we went back and forth with them, we understood how unusual it was. I probably can't fully articulate to you why procedurally it was better for them, but that's why I wanted to go through these in detail individually to make sure you understand them. There's nothing about it that is intended to hide something or be confusing, and that's why I wanted to go through each one of them individually, because they are actions that are not really related to each other than being between the same 2 entities. So I realize I'm not really answering your question, because this was not at our motivation or our request. The school system requested that we do it this way.
And I might mention, we have been discussing this all the way back to we met on Martin Luther King Day last year, and we're trying to put together the elements of this. We would get so far and send it to not our legal, but their legal, and they were also caught up in other things in the legal, and then it would sit, and with the new superintendent coming in and the old superintendent leaving, this is kind of a cleanup operation to get everything put together so that the new person can start off with a clean plate. You know, we have been discussing these issues back and forth for almost a year now, and we finally got it all where it's in agreement, that everybody's in agreement. It's a it's a good agreement for both the city of Huntsville and the Huntsville City Schools, and we remind each other, both of us, that we're in partnership, and we're in a partnership with our school board to make sure that they can achieve what they need to do and have the best education system possible. If we don't grow, we don't achieve, and we don't prosper. And so we are in a partnership with them. They are in a partnership with us, and we're both trying to work with each other to finish out some things that were left over, and so the new administration doesn't have to face it.
Any other questions? Certainly ties up a lot of loose ends. As no further discussion, we're ready for the vote. Let the record show Mr. Keith is not here and will not be voting. All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 16 is legal department items. Item 16A1 is a vacation of easements, an ordinance vacating utility and drainage easements, lots 84-86, inspiration on Green Mountain Subdivision 3, 5, and 7, Sylvia's Way. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kling. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 16B is vacation rights of way. 16B1A, resolution consenting to the vacation of a portion of right-of-way 209 England Street and 206 Coleman Street Northeast. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Culver. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate. Any opposed? Motion carries. 16B1B is an ordinance authorizing the vacation of a portion of right-of-way 209 England Street and 206 Coleman Street Northeast. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kling. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have no deeds for acceptance, routine bond satisfactions, liquor bond mortgages. Item 17 is the appointment of a member of the City Council to serve as a representative to the Planning Commission. 17A is an appointment of a representative to serve to the Planning Commission. The chair appoints Councilman Keith. Item 17B is the appointment of a member of the council to serve as its representative to the Metropolitan Planning Organization. The chair appoints Councilman Kling. Is there, item number 18 is non-roster communications from the public. Ms. Reed, please state your name and address for the record.
Is this true, this that's laying up here on this? It says, somebody handed it to me, please sign up to speak at the end of the meeting. Have we got to sign up to speak at the end of the meeting now?
Mr. Binion?
We didn't ask you to sign up in order to speak. Anybody can speak. We just had trouble when we were recording the minutes of knowing the names and addresses sometimes of the people who spoke, so we wanted you to write your name and address down.
Thank you. I'm glad you didn't change that. Thank you. Anyway, I want to go back. I got to go back on an issue here about Madison Square Mall. I have talked to the sneak peek guy that Mr. Culver had his meeting out there. I talked to him personally and learned all about what I've just said. I didn't make all that up. They did tell me a name who's telling them to move, and you have evicted them because they called some names. I'm not making this up. Mr. Hamilton, you questioned the deeds that I had on Mayor Badley and Scrimsher and Dr. Salmon's owning some property out there in that mall. And I brought you the paperwork. You call me bad names and making up stuff. So I just wanted to tell you all, when my son says, Mom, get your facts right before you start something. And I didn't make all this up tonight. I just want to set it straight. I will bring some of those people into this meeting if I have to, because I've been working with them for a long time. I did not make this up. You have evicted them, whether you believe it or like it or don't like it. And if I have to bring some of them in here, I will. But I hate to bring this up. But when I'm accused of not knowing what I'm talking about, it's pretty hard for me to sit back here and put up with it, and I'm not going to. Anyway, I love you. I appreciate what you're doing, but I want to thank God the whole city's changing. Just look what we've heard tonight and seen. I pray to God he lets me sit here and see some of this, and I hope I like it. And if I don't, I guess you'll hear about it. But thank you very, very much. I've never seen such carrying on in my life going on. In the mall, city center, golly. Mayor, you've got somebody that's got some big ideas. Do you think that we'll have 500,000 people in this city within 2 years? We better get the traffic solved if we do.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. I love you. Bye.
Thank you, Ms. Reed.
Could I respond at least one thing on that?
Yes.
Ms. Reed, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, I don't know if this is the 8th time, I do not own any of Madison Square Mall. The property that we bought 13 years ago is called Madison Square Commons. We named it that because I thought Commons was a pretty cool thing to name a property, and Madison Square because it's close to Madison Square, but it's on Sanderson. It's back there next to the Sam's Club. It is not the Madison Square Mall property. None of it is anything that we are looking at in this. This is property that we have held for 14 years now. So,
well,
Ms. Reed, this is not a forum for you to have a conversation with the mayor.
This is not a forum, but I didn't say on the mall.
Mr. Battle, do you
I
have
said
any,
property.
Mayor Battle, do you have any other comments?
that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Timberlake.
Thank you, Madam President. Ralph Timberlake, 2117 Atkins Drive, Huntsville, Alabama, 35810. First of all, happy belated Thanksgiving, and Merry pre-Christmas, and happy pre-New Year to all. And congratulations, Madam President, for you being elected to President, and to all the other elected officials. And to my representative, Mr. Keith, I had to come down and make sure I saw you after you was installed. I could not make it last time. I hope you will forgive me, because I believe in inclusiveness. I believe we can do this job of managing this city better from a democratic perspective by including all of its citizens as well as its managers and leaders whom we have entrusted to guide us and protect us in our absence. To that end, I would like to say, after hearing the report from the Huntsville Utility, that I must commend you all for appointing people who emulate the democratic process of inclusiveness of its citizens. When we all are being brought into the process, then we all can have shared responsibility, and we can do better together than we can divide it. As you well know, it's good to see, I hope I'm not going to be prevaricating when I say this, that you all are not emulating President-elect Trump, who have sought fit to utilize a governmental process known by the Greeks as plutocracy, ruled by the rich. I hope you will not do that. I would like to see that you would have all of your citizens inclusive. When you all run for office, I do not see y'all excluding the poor people's vote. I do not see y'all excluding the middle class vote. And I do not see you only catering and kowtowing to the rich vote. You should do the same thing in the operation of this city. Thereby, we all will be able to share our knowledge, our skills, and it's a lot better. You know, when you work together, it's easy on everybody. To that end, thank you very much, and thank you for your service. It's, I know you all, excuse me, have give up a lot for the position in which you're in, and I hope that you do not misunderstand your constituents when they come up and talk to you all. It's not a fact that they're wanting to be confrontational. I hope you'll look at it, they want to be informative to you and to receive information from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Timberlake. Is there anyone else who wishes to
Madam
address
President,
the council?
can I say something?
Oh, yes, sir.
I want to say, Mr. Timberlake, it is a blessing to hear the eloquent words, and it is a sobering thought, and thank you for the reminder of what happens up here on this council. with elected officials. But I want to say to you as well, continue to bring the things, and Ms. Reed, that you do think are important to the city. I don't know if you were here earlier, but the first town hall that we'll have in District 1 will be joint with Ms. Watkins on the 12th at 6:30 at G's Country Kitchen. So I'm going to feed you mentally and I'm going to feed you physically. So please be there and come as enlightened as you must. And I look forward to our conversation and working together for District 1. Thank you always.
Thank you, Mr. Keith. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Ms. Snyder. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Rosa Snyder, and I own property at 3410 8th Avenue. Basically, 17 months ago when all this started, I didn't know anybody's names in the city, on the council. I didn't know anything, and I was happy with that. Since that time, because I've had concerns fighting the people that are doing illegal things, I found out a lot of things I wish I didn't know. I don't really want to spend time fighting with people like you guys or this code people. I got better things to do. I'm ready to liquidate my property in Huntsville. I'm just trying to get the decisions and the enforcement or lack of enforcement that the city does now to not degrade the value of my property any farther, my 2 properties that I own in Huntsville. One thing I want to point out is I tried to take my appeal about a fencing decision to the housing authority, and they said they were not going to hear it because it wasn't their duty. And according to, I don't have the paper, but in the code it says their first duty is to hear anyone that feels that the code has been misinterpreted and appeal. They wouldn't hear me, so I have no recourse but to come here. And you know, I have emailed and called and emailed, and nothing happens. I don't get it, and so I don't want to be here. Today, when Keith actually, what I did is I just wanted someone on Holmes Ave to just sign that they got my letter to the mayor. That's all I wanted. I didn't want to discuss it or debate it. And Keith, then all of a sudden they went and got Keith Ashley, and he came and he started saying, "Is this about your complaint about the fencing? We're tired of your complaints." He said, we're tired of your complaints. I've told you over and over. And I go, look, I'm not here to argue with you. I just need somebody to sign. And he threw the paper at me on the floor and told me, we're not coming back there. I left. I said, don't yell at me. Don't talk to me. That's what I told him. I don't need it. That's indicative. I hope it's not indicative of everybody, but I do know that I've had problems before with city officials, and how somebody can feel safe enough to do that to a citizen that I pay taxes here, I don't know. I don't get that either. So you guys are aware. You guys are aware that there is no due process for me to appeal a decision by community development because community housing won't hear the appeal. You know that what Keith Ashley did was shocking to my conscience. I don't know if it's shocking to anybody else's, but it's shocking to mine. And basically that's it, you know, and I'm going to, when I get done, or I'm going to give you guys a copy of my letter. Thanks.
Madam President?
Mr. Kling.
I know Mrs. Jordan is here, and since she is actually Mr. Ashley's supervisor, could we ask if she could look into this situation and then, you know, send a report to the council so we're aware of the situation? I don't think it'd be fair for her to have to address the council on this issue because she might want to have some time to investigate it, and then at a later point she could send a report to the council on this situation. And
Ms. Snyder, I would also ask that before you leave tonight that you please meet with Ms. Jordan and talk with her concerning your concerns. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council? Mr. Kling has brought to my attention that in my sleep-deprived state, we didn't handle item number 17 correctly, and so we're going to go back and visit that with the council's approval. The committees, some of the council appointments to committees are appointed by the chair, others are elected by members of the council. According to the new ordinance which Mr. Kling introduced and which we passed tonight, these two appointments are elected by the council, so.
Actually, Mr. Kling is asking for a recount on his position.
Oh, okay. So if there is no objection from the council members, we will revisit 17A and B. Is that all right? 17A, a member of the council shall be elected by the council to serve as its representative to the Planning Commission. The chair nominates Councilman Devyn Keith.
Second.
Are there any further nominations? Mr. Culver moves the nominations to be closed. All in favor of Mr. Keith serving as our representative to the Planning Commission, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Keith is elected to serve on the Planning Commission. Item number 17B, a member of the council shall be elected by the council to serve as its representative to the Metropolitan Planning Organization. The chair nominates Councilman Kling.
Second.
Are there any further nominations?
Move to close.
Mr. Keith moves to close the nominations. All in favor of Councilman Kling serving as our representative to the Metropolitan Planning Organization, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Kling will be our representative to the Metropolitan Planning Organization.
Madam President, I did
Sir.
check with our esteemed city attorney, and he saw that there would be no conflict of interest or a problem with my serving on the MPO, since there is someone, an employee in the planning department with the same last name as mine.
Thank you for keeping that legal. Are there any other items to be brought before the Planning Commission? Or before the planning, oh my, I so need to go to bed, I cannot even tell you. Are there any other items to be brought before the council?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, we're adjourned.